Hi everyone, this week we've got Glyn on the show from Calmany, and we're going to be talking about client accounts. Before we do anything useful, can I just get a quick introduction from you, please, as to who you are and what you've been up to?
Yeah, I'm Glyn, CEO of Calmany, which is digital client accounts for letting agents. We class ourselves as a neobank, and we've basically wrapped up giving agents that certainty of getting a digital client account with building in the sort of PayPal Go cardless element and backs.
Awesome. And I kind of want to talk around the problems facing client accounts at the moment, and agents trying to get client accounts and what you found. So give us some information about that.
So we conducted a survey asking agents, are you having issues getting or even keeping a client account? So we had over 170 respondents. So from our stats, that's about 1.3% of the market. And what was just really interesting, and it was just obvious, is that 72% of those people said we have had problems keeping client account, or they're very concerned. So that was quite the big shock. And we were very careful in terms of control. Are you having problems? Are you not having problems? Are you worried? Or are you not having problems at all? So it was a good broad sample. So what the survey really picked up on is letting agents have to ask their bank every year for a CMP letter, confirming bank account's still a ring-fenced account. And the people we surveyed, we said to them, before you had any letter from your bank saying closing your account, did you ask for that letter? And 52% of them said yes. So the really interesting insight is that agents have to ask for that letter every year. That's a trigger for your bank to do a review and then decide whether they want you to, they're going to allow you to keep the account from that side. Biggest banks that we know are now closing accounts, sort of the Lloyds, RBS, Barclays, NatWest, HSBC, Santander, Metro, which is a bit of a surprise because that comes up later on as one of the banks that are being very helpful, TSB and Yorkshire Bank as well. The interesting piece that was happening for agents is they were getting notified with just 2 months. So they're getting a letter going, we're closing your account. And you've got 2 months to either do these things. And the options they're giving them is reapply, in some cases, shutting the account completely, go somewhere else. The really scary one for a lot of agents is open a bank account, a client account per landlord. So if you imagine...
Don't worry, I've only got 1,000 properties under management.
Yeah, well, one respondent had 3,000 accounts. And what's scary is there's costs that come with that later on. But what we spotted, and I didn't expect this, was that most agents were on average applying to 3 banks before they got a yes to open a new account. And it takes an average of 1 to 3 months to open the account. And COVID's kind of made it worse for them as well because it's all gone online. So agents were sometimes running 9 months. So bank accounts getting closed down in 2 months, and 9 months later, because they're going from one application to another, before they can actually open an account. And there was 1 or 2 examples where the agent's CMP provider was very aware that the bank had changed their account to what's called a business account, so no longer a client account, business account. But CMP were very sympathetic to that, saying, okay, you're not operating in a client account. We understand why, and we understand you're trying to get a new client account. So fantastic from CMP providers looking after their members, but the real danger is if Trade Standards walks in the door and you're operating out of a business account, you're in trouble. So what a lot of agents then did, we were asking them, you had this letter, they're closing the account. What were you looking to do? So 62% went and tried to open an account with another bank. But actually interesting, 22% outsourced, which made sense. But we asked the specific question, did you outsource for the benefits of outsourcing, or did you outsource because they could give you an account? And nearly all of them said we outsourced because they could give us an account from that way. So agents were weighing up the cost of, do I open a bank account per landlord, or do I just outsource? So they were weighing up that sort of cost. Another interesting aspect was banks like HSBC, Santander, and Metro were saying, we can't give you an account unless you go and register with the HMRC under their money laundering supervision scheme.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is, to qualify to register for that scheme, you've got to be collecting a rent of over 10,000 euros per month. And most agents don't. So the agents were going to HMRC saying, can I register? Because the bank's telling me I had to. They go, do you handle a rent of £10,000 a month per property? No, then you can't.
Helpful.
Yeah, but the undertones is really that certain banks, and particularly now Metro, who have been really helpful, were using that as a way of actually refusing you an account. And they, if you think about it, they already know you're not going to deal with those levels of rents. And a couple of agents were very honest, and and just said a little white lie to HMRC, saying, "Yeah, we have a rent of 10,000 euros, yeah, on that side." So when it came down to the banks themselves and their decisions, we started to spot a lot of inconsistencies. So the same banks that were closing accounts were also allowing agents to open accounts. Some banks would offer you an account per landlord and others wouldn't. Some would insist on an account per tenant. So if you were a HMO agency dealing with lots of tenants, that could get quite pricey. The banking fees, and this is the scary bit, the banking fee per client account was coming in at £8 a month.
Mm-hmm.
But then some banks went, if you have more than 100 accounts, you're into commercial banking, it was £22 a month. So we start doing the sums, and £22 a month, 101 landlords,
Mm-hmm.
We're getting up to like £27,000 a year just to have 101 bank accounts, which is scary. And that doesn't exclude the 35 pence charge in and out as well. And then some really interesting ones. Some of them were going, we offer accounts, do apply to us. And then at the end of it, when you got to the end of the application, they went, oh, we don't actually offer client accounts to unregulated businesses. So we're regulated by CMP legislation. So again, the banks were saying we do offer accounts, but when they get to the end of it, they're going, well, we don't really offer them to letting agents. We don't want to. And Barclays and HSBC, which is interesting, came up a lot in the survey, would only give you a client account if you were a member of Property Mark, but they wouldn't accept Client Money Protect. They wouldn't accept RCS and the other 5 schemes as well. So that was quite interesting that they'd only accept this one, Property Mark approved scheme, but none of the others. Lots of the banks, when they came to refusals, was we just don't offer the accounts anymore. You're not HMRC registered. You're not Property Mark registered. And then, but also, even if you got AML registered, they still refused. And even if you were Property Mark, we're still refusing as well. So it was interesting, even though they were asking you to go and get these registrations, at the end of it, still saying no.